You remember that feeling, right? Counting to 50, your heart just hammering in the silence, knowing someone is out there waiting. Hide and seek, it's more than just a kid's game. It's probably our first real lesson in suspense, in what it feels like to be both the hunter and the hunted. But what happens when the game just stops feeling like a game? Well, today we're going to dive into 3 stories where that exact question became terrifyingly real. We're going to explore the anatomy of fear, that precise moment a familiar game turns into an absolute nightmare. And the answer, as we're about to see, is all about how easily the rules can be broken, especially by someone who was never invited to play. All right, so to really get what went wrong in these stories, we have to first understand why the game itself is kind of the perfect setup for horror. It is absolutely built on a foundation of primal fears that, we all get. Think about it. What are the key ingredients here? You've got darkness, which messes with our most important sense, our sight. You've got silence, which makes every little snap of a twig or creak of a floorboard sound massive. And then you have anticipation. And that's the real engine of dread, isn't it? That feeling of just waiting for something to happen. In a way, hide and seek is like our first controlled experiment in being scared. Now, look at the settings for our 3 stories. We're not talking about haunted castles or ancient crypts. We're talking about places that are supposed to be safe. A suburban house, a big backyard, the woods right behind your fence. And that familiarity is exactly what makes it so terrifying when something unknown shows up. The horror isn't something you find in a strange place. It's something that finds you in your own territory. Okay, so now we get to the crucial turning point. Every game has rules, and hide and seeks are simple. But in these stories, the most important rule of all, knowing exactly who is playing with you, gets shattered. This is the moment everything changes. And this is key. It's almost never this big, sudden jump scare. It starts quietly. It's just a little detail that feels wrong, a sound that doesn't quite fit, or a feeling that you can't account for. It's like this tiny little tear in the fabric of the game. And this is where the scene changes, and it changes fast. So in our first story, the seeker checks a room, sees it's empty, but he has this nagging feeling he wasn't alone. He even thought he heard someone breathing. Now he shakes it off, but that little seed of doubt has been planted. There's suddenly a ghost in the machine of their game. Then you have the second story. This one's out in the woods. A kid is hiding and hears these heavy footsteps walk right past him. He figures, okay, that's Jason, the seeker. But later on, Jason swears he never even went that deep into the woods. So who was it? Suddenly, the number of players just doesn't add up. And in the third story, a complete stranger, a kid named Keith, just shows up out of nowhere. He suggests a game and makes this weird comment about how the yard is perfect for it. It's just unsettling. This kid, who nobody knows, seems way too familiar with the place. So there you have it. 3 different games, 3 different moments, where the players realize the game has an uninvited guest. Now that initial creepy feeling, that little tear in the game's reality, it doesn't just go away. In every single one of these stories, it escalates. That little anomaly grows into an undeniable presence, and the game itself morphs from a fun pastime into something way, way more dangerous. And here is that fundamental shift. It happens in an instant. The fun, playful thrill of being found by your friend is totally replaced by the raw, animal terror of being hunted by a stranger. The goal is no longer to win the game, it's to survive the encounter. And all that laughter, it's gone, replaced by a desperate, cold silence. And what's really chilling is that across all 3 stories, this escalation follows a very similar pattern. It starts with that quiet little anomaly we talked about, but then comes a more direct sign. A whisper out of nowhere, a dragging sound from a locked room, a figure at a window. That's the point of no return. The threat is now active, and the only possible response is to just get out. Let's look at those specific moments that turned everything upside down. In the house, the boys find a door slammed shut that they know they left open, and then they hear a dragging sound from behind it. In the woods, one kid hears a clear whisper right next to his ear, but there's no one there. And in that last story, the strange figure comes back late at night and starts scratching at a bedroom window. In every case, the game is instantly over. Survival mode is activated. But what happens after they run? After the escape? I mean, you'd think the scary part is over. But this is where the true horror of these stories really sinks in. It's in the aftermath, when the adrenaline is gone and the questions start. Because in every single case, the answer they find is nothing. I mean, just look at this. It's a total blank. The police are called, parents search the property, but the result is always the same. No signs of forced entry, no footprints, no trace of anyone. The official explanations are logical, sure, but they're completely unsatisfying. Oh, it was just the house settling. It was a random hiker. It was probably a prank. The kids know what they saw, what they heard, but there is zero physical proof to back any of it up. And that right there, that gets to the absolute heart of the fear. If they'd found a burglar, it would have been scary, for sure, but it would have been understandable. It would have an explanation. But finding nothing? That means the threat is still out there, abstract and totally undefined. It's a question without an answer, and our brains just hate that. That void is terrifying. So this brings us to the final and maybe the most important point. The game ends, the police leave, but that experience, it doesn't. The lack of any real resolution creates this permanent psychological scar. It's a sense of dread that sticks around long, long after that one night is over. And that's the real question that hangs over these stories, isn't it? What's left is this permanent sense of unease. A specific place, a house, a forest, is now tainted forever. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves in the dark, now carries the weight and the memory of that night. The game might be over, but the fear has just found a new, permanent place to hide. Ultimately, these stories aren't just about a scary round to hide and seek. They're this powerful reminder of just how fragile our sense of safety really is. How one single unexplained moment can completely change how you see a familiar place forever. It really makes you wonder. The next time you're alone and you hear a noise you can't explain, are you really going to be able to just shrug it off?